Let me start at what might seem like an odd place. We've all heard the phrase knowledge in the biblical sense to refer to sexual union and intimacy. And what it's trying to capture is that there's more to real knowledge than facts. There is a relational component that doesn't reduce to just some quantitative list of information. I think we could say something very similar about teaching. Teaching, in the biblical sense, is more than facts. Teaching helps fulfill CCEF's mission to restore Christ to a counseling field that has by and large forgotten him, and to restore counseling to the church, a church that often doesn't even realize it has a counseling calling. And part of how we do that is teaching. Teaching is done in the biblical sense, is able to bring truth to life in both senses of the word, to bring the truth of the living God to life by its relevance, by its the way that biblical truth speaks into our lives. Biblical truth teaching, in that sense, orients you to the nature of reality, orients you to who you are, who God is, to the meaning of your circumstances, to the nature of the change process. Teaching protects you, warns you. Teaching comforts you. Teaching helps you to turn from all that is dark, even to identify things that are dark that you might not have been aware of, and then from that to be able to turn and find light and then bring light. Teaching is communicable. It's something that, if we're doing teaching in the biblical sense, we are not simply pouring forth information that others might regurgitate it back. We are building men and women who actually understand the framework of reality, understand the way in which God works in people, works in this often dark, fallen, shot through with light, redeemable world in which we live. When I think about what makes a man or woman wise in biblical counseling, I think of 6 stages of development. The first stage, you have to even know that such a thing as biblical counseling is possible, that it even exists. It rises above the horizon of potentiality, that Christ has something profound to say that gets at the heart of counseling problems, the heart of people's personal difficulties and their interpersonal troubles. Second, once you hear that something might exist, you have to agree that it should exist. You have to sign on. There's a step of conviction and commitment. Third, you need training, you need teaching. We can think something's a great idea, but we have to grow into that idea. And this is one of the places where CCEF's education really meets people to offer a comprehensive teaching and training about what goes into biblical counseling. Part of that training then involves a 4th step, that is the way in which your life personally is shaped by the nature of what biblical counseling is about. So often our students say, well, I came there to learn how to help other people, and I found that the very first person who was touched was me. That I was forced to confront my response to my sorrows and sufferings and troubles. I was forced to deal with my sins, and not just the overt ones, but the subtle ones of attitude and worldview and affections that ran astray. And there's that personal growth component that you might say it takes the commitment and the education, and it really makes it go deep into who you are. The 5th stage is skill. We can get all the training in the world, but you have to put it into practice. There's a skill component. And then the final stage is growing up into maturity of leadership and be able to actually help others to develop their own skills, to grow as wise counselors of others. Now, CCEF's education primarily jumps in at that 3rd and 4th parts of it. It's the teaching and training, and it's the personal application. And those are things that an educational setting is uniquely equipped, particularly as it's oriented to teaching in the biblical sense, uniquely equipped to help people to personalize what they're learning and actually learn the framework of how to understand the nature of counseling from a Christian point of view.